good, everyone? Welcome back to the Strong.Sistas recipes playlist. Today we are making a carnivore diet recipe, carnivore ice cream. So it's going to be a super simple recipe.
How they done did it in the old days.
Yeah, if you want to call this like old-fashioned vanilla ice cream.
So let's get going. Equipment.
Okay, so here's the equipment that you need for this recipe. I know it looks like a lot. Don't freak out. You can get away with having less of a lot of this. So what we're using is a KitchenAid stand mixer ice cream maker. So you do not have to have an ice cream maker to make this recipe. You can just use a bowl and then periodically mix your ice cream in here in the freezer. It will work just fine. Of course, this helps churn it and makes it more smooth, but you do not have to have one. We've got a food scale to help be precise with our measurements. Again, you don't have to have this, but it just helps. We've got 2 glass containers. So this is for cream separation, which you'll see soon. And then this is to store our ice cream in once we're done. We've got a mixer, a blender. So this is to blend our ingredients. You could also just use a whisk if you don't have a blender. This glass jar is to store the egg whites in that we will not be using. We've got some measuring utensils for the smaller ingredients. And then we've got a handy dandy Piggly Wiggly scraper to make sure that we get all that good stuff out of there.
Step 0, so the night before, make sure you freeze your ice cream maker. So ours, we put it in the freezer last night and it's super cold. Now, day of, step 1, whatever container you're using, would suggest using a glass container. Put this in the freezer. That way when you transfer your ice cream to it, you won't get extra melting. Ingredients.
So you only need 2 base ingredients, and that is raw cream. So we've got some raw cream separating from some raw milk right now. If you already have the cream separated, that's great. And then you need some egg yolks. So we are going to separate the whites from the yolks and use them raw. When it comes to flavoring and sweetening your ice cream, it's completely optional. I feel like on carnivore, a lot of us have developed a hypersensitivity to sweetness anyway, so you may not even need it. But let's go over some different sweetening and flavoring options. One way you can sweeten your ice cream is with pure glycine powder. So glycine has a naturally sweet taste to it. This is what we use in our carnivore sodas.
So this would be a carnivore option to sweeten.
Another technically full carnivore option would be just to use some raw honey. So you can just pour a little bit of honey in there for your sweetness satisfaction.
Honey comes from bees, so
honey comes from bees.
Carnivore.
This will add a little bit of carbs to your ice cream, but it's really not a big deal. However, if you are steering clear and trying to make this a 0 carb ice cream, as much as it will be from using the cream, here are 2 natural sweetener options you can use that don't have any calories or carbs. So what we've got here is monk fruit and stevia extract. So these are both pure forms. A little goes a long way. So of course these are both plants and not full carnivore. But if you don't have any issues with this type of sweetener, I would recommend either one of these. We do not seem to have any issues with stevia or monk fruit. So we'll probably put a little dash of this in here. But you can also use like sugar alcohols, but I wouldn't recommend those. Usually that causes people gut distress. I'm talking about like erythritol and stuff. These are the more natural options when it comes to 0 calorie sweeteners. And so if you're looking to spice up the flavor a little bit, 2 great options, super simple. Like we said, old-fashioned ice cream is just some vanilla extract. So we've got organic vanilla extract here. It's focusing on Ashley. Or you can use the seeds out of a vanilla bean. Seeds are a little bit toxic. And if you've experimented and found you're sensitive to it, just avoid. It's gonna taste fine without it. And then cinnamon. Cinnamon comes from bark. You can use this to add a little bit of flavor, but again, totally optional. You can just avoid.
We're just doing old-fashioned vanilla ice cream.
We'll probably add a little bit of vanilla extract, you'll see, and then salt. If you want to add a little bit of salt to your ice cream, it can enhance the flavor.
Sweet and salty.
So let's get started.
All right, the next step is maybe optional in case you already have your raw cream separated, but we are going to separate our cream from our milk.
So you can see the cream separation, a little bit of different color up here versus down here. So here is the raw cream, and then this is the buttermilk.
So we were able to extract about 2 cups of cream. So we will need 2 cups of cream and 3 egg yolks, and you guys can scale that up or down depending on the amount of cream that you have. Next step is to blend the base ingredients. So we're gonna crack the eggs, extract the yolk out and just keep the egg whites in the side container.
This is where the Piggly Wiggly comes in handy to get all the ingredients into a blender.
Let no cream go to waste.
No cream go to waste. So we're gonna sweeten our ice cream with stevia leaf. So we are using 1/4 of a teaspoon. And I would recommend, since we all have different sweetness tolerance, to start at a low place, maybe even 1/8 of a teaspoon, and blend it together and then taste test it before you churn your ice cream.
Yes.
And now we're gonna add an equal ratio of stevia to salt. So again, 1/4 of a teaspoon. If you like your food salty, I would add the 1-to-1 ratio. If not so much, do a little bit less. And then if you're gonna be using things like honey, liquid sweeteners, you always use a little bit more, so maybe start with a tablespoon or 2. But again, test it before you blend it and always start with less because you can always go more. And the final ingredient we're adding to ours is just some vanilla extract. We are gonna do 1/8 of a teaspoon. This is 1/4, so we're just gonna use half of this. Oh, no, we're using 1/4.
Oh, very vanilla.
Okay, so we blended up the ingredients and now we're gonna taste test it to see if we like the sweetness level.
So at this step, definitely taste before you're gonna throw it in the ice cream maker so you can make any more adjustments. That's really good. I'm glad you over poured the vanilla.
Very good.
That is delicious.
We are sweet gals, so we like things sweet. So I would start with a lot less stevia if you're not into super sweet things. Maybe like 1/16 of a teaspoon or 1/8 of a teaspoon. But I really do like that. One of the best words of encouragement I've ever gotten in the kitchen is that you can take any recipe and make it your own, and you really have to customize it to your palate.
Yeah.
And don't be discouraged if you are new to the kitchen. You don't have to follow things exact. You can eyeball a lot of things and then taste as you go. It's like you get a little snack in while you're making the food. It's a lot of fun.
It's an art form and everyone can paint their own picture.
Exactly. So now we are going to pour this into the ice cream maker.
Not have an ice cream maker, alternatively at this step you can pour the blended ingredients into a glass jar and let it sit in the freezer, and then every half hour or so mix it, stir it, so it's a little bit more tedious in this way, but it will eventually all solidify and freeze. So after about 15 to 20 minutes of churning, looks so beautiful. Look at that thickness.
Really nice thick consistency.
So we're transferring it to that bowl that we froze.
Look at this.
Look at this.
So yeah, we're just gonna transfer all this into the bowl. Here we have the final product with our little shovel. Looks like it's in the sand. And I'm loving the consistency, very much like a old-fashioned vanilla ice cream. Thick, nice, and thick.
Yes.
You can't get better than this.
Taste test of the final product. That's really good.
Very creamy, very old-fashioned-y.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Very good. So in total, it made almost 500 grams worth of ice cream, which is almost 2 pints, just a little bit under. So it's like 7.5 servings technically of ice cream.
So we are going to compare this to Rebel Creamery vanilla ice cream.
You guys know we're all about our Rebel, but if we can make our own, it's so much less expensive.
So first, let's compare the ingredient lists. And then now we'll compare the macronutrients. So we equated the serving size of Rebel, which is 67 grams, to what 67 grams of this ice cream would be.
So not a bad gig, not a bad deal. I think I might be sold on making our own ice cream.
Yeah, I may ditch the Rebel.
Yeah, you guys should give it a try. Honestly, it tastes really good. Very simple ingredients, all raw, no pasteurized, homogenized milk in here. And it tastes really excellent.
Digestive enzymes. If you guys are curious as to where you can find raw milk, make sure you guys check out this previous video that we talked about where to source raw milk, what questions to ask your local farmer to make sure that that raw milk is safe. We will definitely do more ice cream variations in the future, but until our next recipe video, guys,
behave like an angel. Oh my god, I said it.
You say okay. Behave like an angel.